slow start, the Bills score 34 unanswered points to defeat the Titans. Welcome into Bills Postgame Live. He's Bills Hall of Famer Steve Tasker. I'm Maddy Glab. Steve, in this game, how did the Bills dominate in the second half?
Yeah, we've seen this before. The Bills coaching staff really seems to get a quick handle, or at least a handle, on what their opponent's doing on both sides of the ball. The defense came out, and you figured they'd get a better handle on what the Tennessee Titans did. The Titans knew they had to get the ball out of Mason Rudolph's hands very quickly. They did that early on. They did it with misdirection, quick screens, and had some real success. And plus Pollard, being the good running back he is, made some hay early in the game. They got out to the 10-0 lead, particularly when the Bills got off to a painfully slow offensive start. It took them almost the entire first half to get a first down, let alone move the football with consistency. Finally, they did that, and of course, ending up scoring 34 unanswered. That solves a lot of problems in the way this game looked in the beginning.
The Bills were down by 10 points to start this one. Their offense started the game with 3 3-and-outs. We haven't seen that from this team since 2019, but coming out of the half, the Bills were able to get things going, and Amari Cooper, the newest Bills wide receiver, was a big part of that. Also, rookie wide receiver Keon Coleman, led by our quarterback Josh Allen, who had his 100th career start today. Allen is on the podium right now. Let's send it over to him.
1-5, only 90 yards, I think, as a team in the first half. You put up 150 in the third quarter. What was the turnaround from the first half coming out in the third quarter?
Yeah, not ideal to start the way we did. Our defense kept us in it long enough where we figured it out. But I think first and second down efficiency was just really poor. And something I got to clean up, make better decisions early on, getting us in the right plays. I do love and appreciate our guys, how we came out in that second half. Our defense getting the stop. Fourth down conversion allowed us to get some momentum right there. And again, we just found a way. It wasn't going to be, didn't look like it was going to be pretty in the first half, but to win the way we did speaks a lot to the guys in that locker room.
Josh, was that the spark for the offense from Amari that you guys were hoping for?
I hope so. Yeah, it looked pretty good. I mean, it's a huge shout out to him for putting in the extra hours of getting ready for this game. It's not easy being traded in the week and playing a game and playing real live reps where he played quite a bit. Shout out to him. DJ Mangus, wide receiver assistant coach, putting in a lot of work with him, Coach Henry. Guys in the building that put a lot of effort into getting him ready to go. So, yeah, it's huge to have him out there.
What's it been like gaining rapport with him? He's a softer spoken guy, doesn't really say a lot. What's it been like gaining rapport with him over these few days?
Yeah, I mean, I think being 7 years in the league now, just like understanding guys of his caliber, they don't need a lot. You know, they go out there, give them a clear mind, let them go play. That's what he did out there a couple times, just finding zones, finding windows. He made a really good catch on that slant. But again, just the professionalism that he has, the ability that he has, just trusting what I see with him, and things will turn out pretty good.
So what did it take for you guys to get into a rhythm? It seemed like you were out of rhythm in that first half. What do you guys did to establish that in the second half?
Yeah, I think just first and second down efficiency in that second half, we were pretty good. I like that hat, by the way. Getting the ball past the sticks, I think we skipped quite a few third downs in that second half, which, again, that first half, just being in those 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 7s, you kind of go through your third down call sheet real quickly, and you don't like to be in those situations. I don't know, it took us a while to get a first down, but again, to come out the way we did in that second half, our team played really well.
Hey, 3 other guys went over 50 yards for Coleman, Shakir, and PK. When Amari gets up to speed, how difficult will you guys be able to defend?
Well, I mean, I think that's worth seeing, worth waiting for before I say anything. Just continuing to get him up to speed in our offense and making sure that he feels comfortable with what we're doing. But again, that's the mindset that we've always had, is everybody eats. And just because we get a guy like him and his caliber doesn't mean we're going to try to force feed him targets. Everybody's going to be in their position and do their role. And again, some weeks we're going to ask more from other guys than others. And that's just kind of how we've been doing it, but it was good to see our guys get involved today.
Josh, the offense seemed to open up for everybody when Amari got involved. Is that, how coincidental is that? Or did you notice what the Titans were doing, like, okay, things maybe started to shift or loosen up for everybody once he got the touchdown and then the long game down the left sideline there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Yeah, it's true. Anytime you have a player of his caliber, he demands extra attention. And if you don't, we're probably going to throw him the ball. But again, our guys did a good job of getting open, making plays. I know Khalil's still not 100%. He's battling through it and played his tail off. I think Keon went over for 100 yards his first time in his career. So that was pretty awesome to see too.
You got a touchdown to Amari. It looked like you changed the play, and it looked like he was looking for help from Keon. Is that what happened? If you looked over there, did you talk about that?
No, we changed the play at the line of scrimmage. They gave us a zero look. We got into our zero beater. Maybe he was just alerting Keon and relaying the message. I'm pretty sure he knew what to do because he did it. So.
Yeah, it looked like he was looking like, I don't know, and then Keon gave him a signal, and then he did it.
I'll have to ask him. I didn't see that. Sorry.
You had two big third down conversions specifically to Dalton. Were those plays that that's where the ball told you to go, or is there just an extra level of trust with him that's continuing to build?
A little bit of both. And that first one, they were playing zone. We had a little a route out of the backfield with our running back. Felt like the corner attached. He did a good job of maintaining leverage on a safety. He made a heck of a catch. And that second one was just man-to-man, trusting him to go make a play. I put a lot of air on it, and he ran under it and made a play.
Josh, what goes into, timing and trust at a short period of time, bringing in a guy like Amari Cooper, and then how will you guys be able to find that consistent chemistry?
Honestly, it's just trusting my feet and trusting my arm. It's one of the, I think, the pros of having a stronger arm, if you will, where you got a guy that's open and, on that little quick fade route I threw to him, he did such a good job of his release, and he gained a lot of separation. I just kind of trusted my eyes, trusted my arm, and just tried to throw it in there as firmly as I could, and he made a heck of a play. So that's what it's going to take early on of getting to know him, just trusting, if he's open, trusting where it's going to be, and as we keep going across the season, gaining more confidence in each other, and I could be able to kind of, see those beforehand.
Hey, Josh, in the fourth quarter, you threw to Amari. You were kind of pressured. It maybe wasn't the most accurate ball in the world because you got to get it out quick, but he was able to make the catch, and it was a first down. Is that kind of an example of almost the exact type of play that he can bring to this offense?
Absolutely. We talked about it beforehand, too, how he was going to run a slant. I was waiting for him, and unfortunately, we were hot off the right side. I changed the protection to the boundary because I thought they were bringing a wheel pressure. I ended up bringing somebody else from the other side. So I'm a little warm. I'm sitting there. I feel the guy, and I'm just trusting that he's getting out of this break and put it behind him. He made a hell of a catch there.
Keon had a couple of big plays. I know the touchdown got called back, but where have you seen the growth in his game? I know we're still very early in the season.
Yeah, just staying in it. He's a guy that wants the ball. He's backside one-on-one. He wants the ball thrown to him. And he continues to make plays like that for us. It's hard not to throw it to him. But just staying in it, trusting the offense, trusting what's going on, and he made some good plays for us tonight, and we're gonna need that going forward.
Josh, 2-game winning streak. How do you guys build off this momentum now?
We just use it to keep riding the momentum, having good weeks of practice, having good weeks of game planning, trusting the offense and what's in front of me, trusting what Joe's calling. At the end of the day, just going out there and executing on any given Sunday, Monday, Thursday.
All three running backs scored today. How much more dangerous does that make you as an offense when they get going?
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. And, that last 4-minute drive, they know we're running it. We know we're running it. And, telling Ray, go get in the end zone. And that's what he did. So it's a good job for our offensive line. Those situations are never easy because, again, they know exactly what you're doing. And we just out-executed them. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Josh Allen now has 68 career wins in 100 starts. That ties Aaron Rodgers and Hall of Famers Joe Montana, Brett Favre, and Terry Bradshaw for the 6th most wins in a quarterback's first 100 starts. It's also amazing that he gets another victory at home. This team came from behind today. They were down in the first half against the Tennessee Titans and were able to fix some things at halftime to have a huge offensive output in the second half of this one. Steve, Josh Allen said in his press conference the difference from the first half for the second half was getting first and second down efficiency. He said when we got into third downs, third and longs in the first half, it was hard because you're running out of your play sheet if you're getting into third down frequently. What does he mean when he says we're running out of the plays that Joe Brady, our offensive coordinator, is calling?
Well, a lot of the plays are variants of each other. So when you get into a third and long and you want to run another one, you run a wrinkle off the one you've already run or something that you've run a lot of. When you start getting into like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, it's hard to get through that menu. Though that's only three of them. And it took a long time for the Bills to get the ball back. The Tennessee offense, like we said, they got up 10 points, which they put together a 9-play or 10-play drive to score. Josh and the offense was sitting on the sideline for a lot of the first half. So when they got to their third down, they really didn't have a handle on what the defense was doing to them, first of all, and they didn't really know how they wanted to attack that defense. I thought there was really a lot of hesitancy on their third down calls in the first half, and because of that, they were unsuccessful. Plus, as Josh said, they were third and medium plus. There weren't too many 3rd and 2s or 3rd and 1s. All of that stuff has been part of why they have not been very good on third down the entire year. They were 30% today. They've got to be better. They have led the league in the last couple of years in third down conversions. This year, not so fast. They have really struggled on third down, and it showed itself again today.
In the first half, this offense was 0 for 5 on third downs to start the game. They end up changing that a little bit in the second half. In the first half, just 90 yards from the offense. Second half, 299 offensive yards is what you saw. A big catalyst for that was a huge stop on fourth down by the defense. The Bills end up scoring on the next drive. Newest wide receiver Amari Cooper helped out. He had a touchdown himself in this one and also had 66 receiving yards. Somebody who was getting after the quarterback in this game was defensive end Greg Rousseau. 6 quarterback hits for him today. It's the most by an NFL player this season. He's on the podium right now.
How much juice did Dwayne's Carter fourth down stuff get the defense?
A lot, you know what I'm saying? DC's been working his butt off day in and day out, and to have a dude like him come in and make that play, especially like as a young guy, as a rookie, it's awesome. We were all hyped.
And Greg, how about the play before that as well? Bernard, I think, had a tackle for loss on the third down play. That overall sequence for the defense seemed like it was a momentum changer. Yeah,
it was real smooth. It's really just us being out there, taking turns, making plays, us just doing our job, and then whoever the play comes to on that specific play, that's who's going to make it. So kind of our mindset, 111th, and it was great to see dudes out there making plays. I was glad.
You had 6 quarterback hits today. I think the Bills said that's the most in the NFL by a single player this season. What was working for you?
Just playing fast, you know what I'm saying, listening to my coaches, working up the other guys on the field. I know me and Smoot had a good one where we ran a little game. It was on the other end zone, away from the tunnel. But, yeah, just working with the guys. Shout out to them, you know what I'm saying. It's, like I said, just kind of taking turns, making plays, getting to the quarterback.
Can you talk about the fourth down play that they ran?
Which one?
Midfield. Just that kind of looked like the turning point in the game. You guys stopped that.
With Carter?
Yeah, with DC made the play there.
Yeah, I think it was I don't even know. It was like a QB sneak maybe, or something like that, or a handoff, something. It was just a pile of bodies, and then just DC just made a great play.
You guys, you go down 10-0, you scored 34 straight.
Yeah.
What was the message defensively though? Because maybe a little bit of a slower start than you would have wanted.
Yeah, really just stay calm, settle in, just kind of let the game come to you. Just doing your part. A lot of times I feel like teams have like a script of how they want to attack you. So you see a team come out and have that hot start, but I mean when you start calling base defense versus base offense, you got to be able to go out there and just win your matchup, win your 111th, because all the screens, the draws, all the kind of tricky plays, they kind of run out, and you got to at some point put the ball down and play football. You know.
How important was it to brush away? So they was doing a lot of window dressing in that first half.
Yeah.
So how important was eye discipline and gap integrity?
It was everything. Eye discipline. We talked about not letting motion cause emotion, and then gap integrity on every single play. You know what I'm saying? Kind of just that, running to the ball, just doing our part and being able to settle down. Because, like I said, eventually you got to snap the ball. You got to run normal plays, whether it's just you running belly or you running wide zone or you just throwing the ball out of shotgun. You got to eventually get to just the normal plays, and we're able to settle in and do our thing.
Greg, you've had a couple of games this year, week 1 against Arizona 2, where it seems like you've and almost single-handedly taken over at times.
Yeah.
How do you find that level of consistency week in and week out? I know it's tough to do, of course. But.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you kind of just get in the flow. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was one of those days when you're out there just kind of winning your rushes, and I know I and a lot of the other dudes on defense have a mindset of just like, it might not be the 8th time, might not be the 9th time, might not be the 10th time or the 11th, but you kind of just keep putting yourself in position to make plays, and then you're gonna make a lot of plays if you do that. And you kind of have that mindset and kind of just let the game come to you. I feel like it makes it harder when you kind of reach outside the framework of your body and try to make plays, or you're trying to get a sack, or you're trying to get this or whatever. It's like, nah, just play your keys, have good eyes, pad level, hands, and then just kind of let the plays come to you and just try to play fast.
What is the mindset when the offense is struggling or a little bit slow out of the gate?
Yeah.
Does it felt like that's kind of also when you guys lock down?
I feel like football is a team sport. You know what I'm saying? Some days the offense might be down. There's been days where we've been kind of down, and it's all about if it's kind of like a balance beam. If one side is kind of leaning this way, the other, whether it's defense, special teams, or offense, has to kind of pick up the slack a little bit. So it's like whenever they're down and we're down, the other side, we kind of take responsibility and let's get the crowd going, let's get the juice flowing or whatever. We try not to point fingers because that's not going to get you anywhere.
What's Bernard mean to this defense? His knack for making big plays just seems to be kind of a weekly spark.
Yeah, it's TB means everything. The way he prepares in the week, the way he takes practice seriously, like just the way he's a pro of pros, and then obviously the way he comes out here on Sundays and plays, he's like the heart of our defense.
Thanks, Greg.
Quite a different story in the second half for this Buffalo defense. In the first half, the Tennessee Titans were 5 for 8 on third down. In the second half, just 1 for 8. This was a Titans team who their starting quarterback in Will Levis did not play in this game due to a shoulder injury. So you have backup Mason Rudolph starting in this one, making his first start this season for the Titans. And in the beginning of this game, the Titans offense, who went into this game as the second worst offense in the NFL, was doing a really good job of picking apart the middle of the field for Buffalo's defense. Steve, how were they successful in doing that?
Well, first of all, I think Mason Rudolph gave them something that Will Levis was not, just being a steady pro in there, not trying to make the enormously big play, but just taking what was there and getting the ball out of his hands. Certainly the Bills' defensive front was putting pressure on him, but the ball came out on time. It was on target, and the receiving core of the Titans is maybe an underrated group because of their production this year, but I think their production really, and lack thereof, was because of Will Levis. Mason Rudolph knew enough to get it to those guys. DeAndre Hopkins, Ridley, they're a really good group of wide receivers. They're getting separation. The ball just has to come out on time. Once the Bills started to get a handle on it and started to sit on some of the routes, then Mason Rudolph had to pat the ball a couple of times, and then Rousseau was getting his 6 hits on the quarterback. They're getting the 3 sacks they got on the day and started to pressure him and chase him around. Certainly, he threw away a bunch when he was getting taken down to the ground as well. So the defense certainly caught up to them, and the offensive coordinator of the Titans also did a nice job of giving a lot of misdirection to the Bills' aggression up front early on in this game. I thought that helped keep them at bay and give them a lot more success on first and second down, which set them up for success in the first half on third down.
The defensive line started to get after the Titans offense in the second half. That's when you started to see Greg Rousseau get a lot of those quarterback hits. A.J. Epinesa start to get after Rudolph, knock the ball away even once. What was the difference in the second half? How was this defense able to settle in and start to make it tough for Rudolph to get yards? They had just about 70 yards in the second half compared to 217 in the first half.
One reason was because they were so much more successful on first and second. Tony Pollard, ask him how it went in the second half on first and second down.
Tough.
He got crushed a couple of times in the backfield. On the fourth and go for it's when the Titans went for it and Bernard's going over the top and Smoot is coming off the edge, stuffing them in those running games, getting them less effective on first and second downs. Now they're starting to, it's harder and harder the more times you go to the well. Even though they were really successful in the first half, man, as the longer you go, the more the statistics start to catch up with you. It's hard to pick up third and long consistently, and because of the success the Bills had on first and second and starting to make it life tough on Tony Pollard, the running back, then it got tougher on Mason Rudolph in the passing game on third down.
This defense, Buffalo's defense, has done a great job in making adjustments in the second half. If they've been struggling in the first half and in games past, including this one, they come out of the locker room and they get after that opposing offense. Kudos to defensive coordinator Bobby Babich for leading the way, and the defense for having some big plays and really starting that momentum for Buffalo's offense. Speaking of Buffalo's offense and defense, we've got rookie wide receiver Keon Coleman and safety Damar Hamlin on the podium.
First 100-yard-plus game of your career. First Bills pass catcher to go over 100 yards this year, if I'm not mistaken. What was working out there for you today?
Pretty much everything Joe was calling. All the different looks we was practicing in practice, we got them in the game and executed at a high level.
Did you think you were in on that touchdown there toward the end?
I mean, I'm always think I'm in, bro. But respect the call. They said I was out. I was out.
I seen them make that play 100 times at practice. The same way. So that ball ain't moving.
In the first half, 44-yard reception. You got pretty open there over the middle. But at that time in the game, the offense was kind of needing a spark. So to be able to provide that, just what did that mean for the group overall?
I mean, it means a lot. They can count on us as receivers to, provide that spark. Whether it's the run game not working that day, we need to provide it, or it is, and we just need that big play to happen. I think anybody in our room can make that play happen.
Damar, you started maybe a little slower than you wanted defensively. You're down 10-0, but able to run off 34 straight points to win it. But what did the defense do to maybe correct things early on and respond the way that it did?
Really just get back to playing our brand of football. Just reading our keys, lining up, seeing what we need to see, not seeing too much, and just executing how we do every day in practice. So pretty much just settling in and playing our brand of football.
Can you take us through the interception? Sorry about that.
Just playing off of vision. I recognized the route, pretty much double slant. I seen the quarterback go through the first window, so it was going through to the next one outside, and I was pretty much preparing myself for it to go exactly how it did, to kind of catch the tip. So shout out CB, Christian Benford, playing great D out there on that slant. Tipped it right to me. Got my second one.
Keon, the dynamic of having Cooper on this team now and just working with him and seemingly probably give him a little help because you're going to know this offense a little better than he does, even as a rookie. What was your sense of his presence out there today?
I liked it. He brings a different dynamic to the offense. Another guy that can do the similar things that I do at a very high level, and he's proven himself in the league for a long time. So just another threat, man. You got to respect it.
Did you tell him what to do on the touchdown? On his touchdown?
Nah, man. Cause he know the plays. I just help him confirm it. That's all it was.
It looked like there was some kind of communication between you two, though, before the snap.
That's the name of the game. You never can get fined for over-communicating. Make sure everybody doing what they need to do.
Damar, just defensively overall, the second half of games, it seems like week in and week out, you guys are really strong after halftime. Is there anything that's happening that is making those adjustments so effective?
That's to great coaching. We settle in and, we adjust well. And I think that's what elite teams do, elite defenses do. You're able to adjust on the fly. You can practice everything you want to practice, and a team can come in here and, run something completely different than what you practice all week. So you have to adjust in the game. But, on our end, we're just preaching start faster and play at that high level that we're playing at through 4 quarters.
There was a sequence in the third quarter. Bernard got a stop for a tackle for loss, and then Carter on fourth down also. How big of a swing was that momentum-wise overall in the game?
Super big. Every drive that we take that field, we thinking 3-and-out or takeaways. So, whether it's the first drive or whether it's, that drive, at whatever point in the game it was, it's definitely us checking our goals whenever we can get 3-and-outs from takeaways.
Damar, what point in time in the game did y'all realize what Tennessee was doing offensively?
Early on, and, shout out to them. They definitely had the kitchen sink as far as, everything that they were doing. But, early on, it was pretty much just us, just having to settle in and play our brand of football. You'll probably hear me say that all the time because, we line up and execute and do what we need to do. We can be the best in the world.
Keon, what it was like? Seemed like you was having a lot of fun out there today. Big contributions. How excited were you to go out there and make those type of plays?
I was very excited, very grateful the ball kept finding me and, do what I do best, just make the play. Coach put me in the position. I just got to continue to make the plays that they brought me here to make.
Now, they're saying that you couldn't run all the routes. You put that on full display today. You know what I mean?
Who said that?
You put that on full display. It's like all right, Florida State, you ran certain type of routes. Today, you had a full display on crossers, back shoulders, you name it. So, just to be able to put that on full display, how motivating is that for you?
That's something me, the coaching staff already knew once I got drafted here. We ain't had no doubts about that. So we're going to continue to do that.
We saw you on Thursday, working 45 minutes or so after practice. You said it was a secret. Were you working on something that happened in this game today?
That's the secret. I can't tell you that.
You got to keep
it worked, though. It works.
All right, thank you. Thanks.
Keon Coleman finished with 4 catches for 125 receiving yards in his first 7 games as a Buffalo Bill. We're seeing this receiver be a receiver who's a big play type of guy. This is his best start as a Buffalo Bill to begin his NFL career. Steve, what did you see as a difference in Coleman this game?
Yeah, I thought they managed to find him deeper down the field. Certainly the 57-yarder was a long run as well, but he also turned it up the field and got loose when Josh was scrambling around. That's a plus because sooner or later the big plays in this offense are going to happen because Josh extends a play and goes off script. Keon, for the first time you see him doing that, being the guy that catches it and runs it down. Also, the other play where he got loose as well. So I think his ability to run after the catching the football. I thought the touchdown was a touchdown, not a callback touchdown. Yeah, and and you're right. He's probably right. He probably just did confirm for Amari what he was supposed to do on that last, because Josh killed a play, and Amari's like, oh, and I've been there. It's like, wait a minute, and Keon goes, and he turned at him and said, do I, do? He says, yeah, just run it. And he knew what that meant and did the exact right thing.
Coleman looked like he had a better awareness in this game. It seems like through 7 games now, this rookie receiver is starting to get a better feel for the game, starting to get a better feel for his quarterback in Josh Allen, and starting to get a better feel for how this offense is played. I saw him find some open space and open zones when he was out on the field today. You think this guy's going to build off of something like this.
I would agree with that. I was thinking the exact same thing. This is a game where he was available more than we've seen him be available. Josh found him, maybe, and some of it's probably the confidence that Josh has is growing. Also, I think the confidence that Keon's got, that he's finally saying, listen, I got to do this, I'm going to do it. Those two things lead to, he had 7 targets on the game, 4 receptions. One of them should have been a touchdown, so he should have had 5 of 7 with a TD. So I think all of that, I'm right with you, Maddy. I think this was a game where you saw a tangible incremental step in Keon Coleman's game within this offense. 7 targets is big. He was right. He did everything right on the touchdown. You can say what you want. It's a tough play. You'd like to see him catch 6 of 7 or 7 of 7 targets, but dropping one and not dropping one, but having one go as getting overturned. Can kind of live with that, particularly since they came out and won the game. But I thought overall, with you, this is the thing where he was more available. Josh found him more, and this is something that bodes well for the coming weeks, because this is one of those games where there's some progress in Keon Coleman's role in this offense.
Safety Damar Hamlin said we need to start faster on both sides of the ball in this game. It looked like they were sleepwalking through things in the first half. In the second half, a completely different team comes out of the locker room. The defense allows just 72 yards in the second half compared to 217 in the first half. The offense has 299 yards in the second half compared to just 90 in the first half. Steve, what type of team could Buffalo be if they were to just start faster in these games?
Absolutely. You think about how the defense turned it around. We were talking about it in the break. You know, Tony Pollard ends the first half. He's got 61 yards rushing, or 64 yards rushing after the first half. He comes about in the second half. He ends the game with 61. You know, after
he goes back.
He goes backwards. He comes out with fewer yards in the game than he ended the first half with. This defense really did step it up, and I'm with you. I thought they sleptwalked through it. They came out a little bit flat for what. And we've seen this team a little bit, and if you look at, you and I don't gamble, but in games where the Bills are heavily favored, like by a touchdown or more, like today, 8.5 points, they tend to play down to their competition. They rarely cover a spread of more than a touchdown. They'll win the game, but it'll be like by 4. Right? So today they woke up and they just outdistanced a Tennessee team where the Bills' front took over defensively and offensively. Amari Cooper's presence and Keon Coleman's emergence made the difference.
I think the momentum swing in this one was Buffalo's defense coming out in the third quarter, having that huge 4th down stop. They had a big 3rd down stop by Terrell Bernard, and then Dwayne Carter has a huge 4th down stop. And then you see the offense start to get into motion and really turn the page, start to score a lot of points, 34 points on the scoreboard. Hopefully this is something this group can learn from, and heading into week 8, week 9, week 10, this group can start faster. In the third quarter, they're outscoring opponents 52-20. That's the most in the NFL. If they can just give some of that into the first quarter to really start on the right foot, I think you're looking at one of the best teams in the NFL.
And I'll say this too, that the slow start is typified by things like I'm about to say. One is they missed a couple of opportunities that would have completely pivoted the first half.
Right.
The first throw to Amari Cooper on a little quick hitch, I mean, it couldn't have been an easier catch, and it's off his face mask on the ground, and then they're punting. And everybody was like, really? You know, they threw the ball to Amari. He doinked it off his face mask and then caught the next 4 targets for the game. Now, another missed opportunity. They were getting killed by these little screens and the draw plays and the little misdirection stuff that the Tennessee Titans offense was depending on early in the game. And A.J. Epinesa drops an interception right in his face mask that he would catch 8 or 9 times out of 10. If Amari Cooper catches that first hitch, that first drive, you get a first down, okay, here we go, and you kind of get a chance to get your breath under your feet under you. If Epinesa catches that doink off his face mask, he's the other way, and the Bills have a lead in a 0-0 game, and all of a sudden, now Tennessee's got to think about things. All those little subtle differences and those missed opportunities also added to the problems that the Bills had offensively and defensively. They didn't have any confidence because nobody had inspired them to have any.
You spoke about Dwan Smoot and A.J. Epinesa there and what he was able to do. A half sack by Epinesa, a sack by Dwan Smoot. These guys have had more snaps in these games because Von Miller is still out, suspended by the NFL, has one more game out on suspension. What did you see from Smoot and Epinesa? Because they're playing like their hair is on fire.
Yeah, they were making plays in the Tennessee backfield.
Yeah.
Smoot was incredibly. Also, we got Dwayne Carter made a tackle for a loss on a 3rd and I think it was on the 3rd and 2, and then on the 4th and 1 they got the big stop by Smoot and Groot. So those guys up front really paved the way for the defense to have a great day. The receiving core of Tennessee, like we mentioned before, is a really stellar group. DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, those guys can really go. Plus their tight ends are really athletic pass catchers as well. So you knew it was going to be a handful in the back end for the defense, but the front end paved the way for them to have success. And, of course, it ended up with Damar getting his 2nd interception of the year. And they got a lot of pass breakups later on in the game as well. So those guys up front, with Smoot playing more, and I think one of the things we saw last week, and Sean McDermott mentioned it on the Sean McDermott show, they kind of flipped A.J. Epinesa and Smoot's role in the rotation last week, and I think they continued that this week. So you're seeing Smoot doing some things where Epinesa used to take those reps, and Epinesa doing some things when Smoot was taking those reps. So those guys have really thrived in a different type of rotation in the last couple of weeks.
And it always helps when you're playing with the lead, when you're playing with points on the board, then your defensive line can really get after the opponent. Head coach Sean McDermott is on the podium. Let's send it right over to him.
Okay, great to play at home in front of our fans. Fans were again outstanding. Really thought in the second half we turned on the complementary football, led by the fourth down stop by the defense. Got another takeaway, which led to 7. The takeaway in the first half, we didn't get anything off of it. The offense was able to get into a rhythm in the second half, to me, primarily by winning the line of scrimmage, and that sets up everything else. And really, I thought the second half we did a better job on both sides of the ball up front, winning the line of scrimmage, and again, that sets up everything we're trying to do. T-Bass executed, not an easy week for him, but I thought he showed some mental toughness and came out and executed good, solid kicks. The kickoff return in the first half sparked us, led by Brandon and the guys there. That was a big play for us from an energy standpoint. Just a good overall team win, and I know it's been talked about with what Coop did, and it's good to have him here. He made an impact just in 4 days, right? Really 4 teachable, learnable days. And then to come out on day 5 here and execute like he did was impressive, and I give him credit. And the time he was able to put in with DJ Mangus, both in this case player and coach, putting in extra time to come out and execute like he did. So, again, good team win. Good to do it at home in front of our fans. A lot to clean up. It's hard to win in the National Football League, so we've got to get back to work.
Sean, on Amari's touchdown, looked like there was a little bit of communication between him and Keon. Can you kind of take us through that play and how he knew what he was supposed to do after looked like Allen checked it?
Yeah, it was a situation. We practiced this play. We practiced during the week, and I think Coop looked like he beat the man 1-on-1, and Josh made a good throw. Coop made the catch, good protection. So I just thought, again, overall in the second half, it really just became good, sound, fundamental football. Nothing fancy. Everyone doing their job.
Any update on Curtis or Terrell?
Nothing yet. Probably know something tomorrow here.
Sorry about that. Sean, obviously a lot of positives, 34 straight points, but the slow start, down 10-0. How much of a concern was that? What did you see in terms of readiness at the start of the game?
Yeah, I thought we were ready. I took the ball in the first half because of the wind being a factor. Knowing we felt like, at least you never know, life of a weatherman, but we felt like it was going to gust a little bit more in the second half. So we wanted to have the opportunity to get the win when we wanted it, and came out. We started slow. To your point, Jay, I think it was 3 straight 3-and-outs. Some of those were self-inflicted. Had a drop, had a penalty. Can't remember on the next drive what happened, but just not good enough and not what you want to do in that situation. And then defensively, again, came back to fundamentals. Got to win the line of scrimmage better early in the game. Got to have our eyes in the right spots from a discipline standpoint, and we've got to execute and tackle, get off blocks and tackle. So, and then that affected, I thought, the line of scrimmage. Defense in the first half, when they're able to run for 72 yards in the first half and throw for 146, they're a two-dimensional team, and that's tough because you don't know how to call the game at that point, right? So I thought the coaches did a really good job at halftime, players as well, and settling down and communicating and then making good adjustments.
Along those lines, have you seen that to be a strength of Bobby? Because the defense has really played well in the second half of games.
Yeah, the defensive staff, led by Bobby, did a great job just settling in and giving the guys what they do best, and the players, to their credit, just think they understood then what was happening. Sometimes when you're not playing well, you're not in a rhythm and you're on your heels, or you're a little bit like, hey, what's actually going on? And so the communication, really the identification of it by the coaches from the press box down, and then to get that communicated to the players so that they're like, okay, I understand what you're saying. I'll just, and then they can adjust from there.
Sean, how big was that fourth down stop in Dwayne Carter? I feel like you talk about him around weekly. How have you seen him grow?
Yeah, we got some young guys really contributing. DC, in that case, big time play. I think it was TB that made the third down stop, maybe. It's hard to see from the sideline there. Keon, big time again today, and I'm probably going to leave some names out here, but yeah, these young guys. Ray Davis again, the way he ran in the second half, again, you could feel him, square pads to the line of scrimmage, and very physical.
Coach, a lot of window dressing in that first half, play action, bootlegs, things of that nature. How important was it to preach identity and gap integrity in that second half?
Yeah, good sound football. We've been preaching it. We've got to continue to preach it. Having your eyes in the right spots. doing your job, being in your gap, getting off blocks, tackling. It's not fancy, but it's what you need to do to be good on defense in this case, and good as an overall football team.
Both you and Josh pointed out, singled out DJ Mingus specifically for his work with Amari this week. Is there anything specific that you noticed or that DJ did to help Amari get ready for today?
Well, number one, it takes two of them, right? So the player has to want to do it, and that's the start of it. Willing to put in more time, I'm saying, right? In and around the normal schedule, in the gaps of the schedule, and we've got a lot of good young coaches that do a lot of work for us behind the scenes, and you can look them up. But those guys deserve a lot of credit, breaking the games down, staying up late, getting up early. There's not a lot of sleep in those jobs, and all those guys have done a really good job.
Sean, with it being here mid-October, back-to-back wins that you had to really gut out, what does it say about your team's patience or, I guess, confidence? I don't want to put words in your mouth of what it might be, is when things aren't necessarily clicking, that you're hanging in there and you're waiting, you're able to get it going without panic or falling apart.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, again, the trust that the players have in the coaches and the trust that the coaches have in the players. Making key adjustments, knowing our players as well and what they do best. Usually when you're giving them what they do best, they're able to execute and show who they really are. So we continue to learn. We had some injuries today. Some young guys stepped up. We'll see if those guys are healthy or not going into next week. And it's the experience that some of these guys are getting, the young players, the players that are having to step up due to some of the injuries, hopefully will benefit us down the stretch where we have that key level of experience from not just the starter but the backup, if you will, the primary backup or so. So just a good team win overall, and I'm proud of the guys, coaches, staff, everyone for how they handled it.
What about Josh and the way he managed the game today?
Yeah, I wrote down when I came in my locker after the game, I'm curious how many times, he was affected in the first half versus how many times he was affected in the second half. And for what it's worth, the play that stands out to me is the throw to Dalton. I think it was a third down conversion. That was a huge play, right? Great throw, great catch, and to have the time to do that. That's not even throwing for depth. You're throwing for width because it was an outside breaking route. Big time play. And it looked like Josh in the second half. Again, some key completions again. When we're in our 4-minute offense, but we're still somewhat being aggressive or calculated aggressive with some throws to Keon and taking care of the football at the same time.
Coach, follow up on Tim's question. 2-0. How do you build off this momentum?
Get back to work. Stay humble. Get back to work. Do our jobs. That's good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.
Receiver Amari Cooper was traded to Buffalo earlier this week. He had just a few days to get ready, learn a bit of this playbook, and game time is Sunday. Cooper was a part of the lineup, had an effect on this game, had 4 catches for 66 receiving yards and a touchdown. Head coach Sean McDermott said Cooper went out of his way to spend more time in the building this week to get up to speed, to feel like he was in a good place to have an impact on this game. And you saw the fruits of all of that time that he put in because of that touchdown that he had, a 27-yard catch as well. It was nice to see him have this type of role on the offense. Let's get into this week's Player Spotlight. It's presented by Microsoft Surface. Microsoft Surface is the official tablet and sideline technology of the Buffalo Bills. We are spotlighting Amari Cooper for the job he did against the Titans. Steve, what stood out to you most?
Well, it's simply the fact that he bounced back after the first target. He got an easy little thing. Then he got in, picked up on the off script of Josh Allen. We had to kill the play that was called. Checked out, double-checked with Keon Coleman that I was going to run the right. He ran the right route, and this is what he needed to do. This is the kind of route you need to get separation on. It looked easy. It never is. And it turns into a 12-yard touchdown. So instead of getting a nice little 5-yard hitch to get a catch under his belt, he waits for his first catch, makes it a 12-yard touchdown when the Bills really needed it to give them the lead they never relinquished.
Cooper is a 5-time Pro Bowler. He's had 7 seasons of at least 1,000 receiving yards. He had a career high 1,250 receiving yards last season. This is somebody who is a contested catch receiver. He can have the big plays. We saw a new wrinkle in this offense with Cooper in it today. 4 catches for 66 receiving yards and a touchdown. Steve, what does he add to the offense?
Well, I noticed as soon as he went on, they put him in the boundary X spot, which means the hash. They're on. He's on the side of the field where the ball is nearest to on the hash marks, and he's by himself. It's him, nobody, and the offensive tackle, and you got Kincaid, Shakir, and Coleman. Everybody else on the other side of the ball, and the running back in the backfield with Josh. He's by himself on that half of the field. That is the spot where you need a guy who's big, physical, can win contested matchups, because the defense then, if he's that guy and you got to have help defending him, you send a guy away from where all your players are across the field into no man's land to help on a guy over there. Then you've got a numbers problem on the strong side, where Khalil is, where Kincaid is, where Coleman is, and where Cook is. So now that puts the real pressure on the defense, where you start getting to adding numbers, and the defense someplace is not going to have enough. If they leave Amari Cooper one-on-one, it's not enough. If they don't leave a safety over the top of the 3 guys, it's not enough over there. That's when your offense opens up, and you see like a guy like Keon Coleman have 7 targets in the game and make some game-changing plays.
I think Cooper is going to add a fun wrinkle to this offense. Just another playmaker to throw in the mix for a quarterback like Josh Allen, who went into this game with 254 total touchdowns in his career, the most by any player in his first 7 seasons. He's also has the most rushing touchdowns in his first 100 starts with 56. It was awesome to see him get another victory today in front of a home crowd to celebrate 100 career starts. I got to ask you before we close this one up, what's the most special thing that you have learned from or seen from Josh?
Here's the thing. Josh came in. We all hoped he was going to be a guy, right? We hoped he was going to be a good player, a franchise quarterback, the guy and certainly first year he was all this guy who was all over the place, and he has those moments where he hurdles, the first guy we ever see him hurdle up in Minnesota, if you remember, all the way back then. And now you look at him, and I don't want to be the first guy to say this, there's just no question about it. The guy's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. He's in lists that have 3 or 4 guys on him in the history of the National Football League. He does things nobody else has done. He has games where no quarterback has ever done this before, or 2 quarterbacks have ever done this before, or he's one of 3 quarterbacks who have ever done this before. There's list after list after list of Josh Allen accomplishments that nobody else has ever done. And he is everything a Bills fan could have ever wanted him to be when they drafted him. We didn't know it when it started, but 100 starts in, he's our dude, right?
Yep. And we are so happy we have him. Before we close up shop here, we got to go to Amari Cooper because he's on the podium after his first game in a Buffalo Bills uniform.
So cool. What it's like to come right in on a Wednesday and being able to contribute right away?
It was a good feeling, to go out there, be able to make some plays for the team.
How do you go about coming into a new team and just acclimating yourself to the offense and being able to give a quality performance today?
Just, trying to lock in, learn as many plays as I can, and just be a professional.
How important is it to develop the timing and trust in such a short period of time between you and Josh?
It's, utterly important. That's the main thing, having that chemistry between quarterback and receiver. Like I said, just try to come in, be a professional. This is uncharted territory for me. I have been traded in a similar situation before, so I kind of knew what to expect.
Being in uncharted water, what was it like to hear Bills Mafia scream Coop out, in the stands? How was that for you?
Yeah. I played for a couple different teams that have done it, including, Alabama collegiately. It seems like a different feel every single time. It seems like a different Coop chant every single time. Just grateful, appreciative. It was something special about the one today, though.
What happened on that touchdown catch? Can you take us through that play?
Yeah, we had an alert on a play built in, predicated on if we got a specific look. We got the look that we wanted. We checked to it, and it worked just like it did in practice. So.
It's one thing to watch Josh Allen on film and see what he does, but being in the huddle with him, what was that like today?
It was very impressive. He's a great player. Had the opportunity to watch him, obviously, through the television for quite some time now. He's had I believe, his 100th start today. He seems like he had 100 amazing performances. So I guess this was no different. He went out there, he did his thing like he usually does. But he's a phenomenal player, for sure.
How can you guys build off this momentum? With this new offense, new players, new quarterback, how can you build off this?
Yeah, I mean, in professional sports, when the competition is so stiff, momentum is probably one of the most important things when it comes to winning and losing. Obviously, there's some other factors out there, but momentum is very important, and it's important. I think the best teams, they're the ones who build off of it and they understand how to keep the ball rolling. So that's exactly what we have to do.
You had about 18 snaps, not counting 2 that penalty. Was that about the amount of work you anticipated? And if you could also discuss the pace for you going in and out as you did, how was that to deal with?
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect as far as the percentage of plays that I would actually play. Obviously, I knew I wouldn't be able to play the whole game. Like you guys alluded to earlier, I got traded on Tuesday. I drove here on Tuesday, but I didn't really start to learn the playbook until Wednesday. So, I do have an impressive memory, I think. But these playbooks, they have, sometimes hundreds of plays. So I knew I wouldn't be able to learn all of them. So I just tried to learn as much as possible, and you just try to be there for the team.
How comfortable did you feel out there? Like, how much was it, I know what I'm doing, like not having to think about things too much?
The plays that were for me, I was 100% comfortable with because I, went over them a lot. It was just another day at the office at the wide receiver position. Yeah.
Amari, this is your new home. What's your first impression?
It's very impressive. I mean, the fans, it has a good feel to the game. Like I said, it just felt different, the fans, for some reason. I kind of got the warning throughout the week that the fans are very passionate. I have been a part of a lot of very passionate fan bases. I played for the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Browns, Alabama. But this one, it seems a little bit more heightened, so I guess that's a good thing.
Amari, did anything surprise you today about playing with your new team in your first game?
I wouldn't say anything came as a surprise. I guess you could say, these games typically come down to the last drive, and we pretty much dominated parts of the game. So I guess that would be a surprise. Yeah.
Murray, Josh highlighted your catch in the fourth quarter. It was he had to get the ball out pretty quick, and maybe it wasn't the most accurate throw in the world, but to be able to make that play and pick up a first down in that situation, just how important was that for the offense and for yourself overall?
It was very important. Like you guys know, communication rules the nation. I tried to kind of talk to him about, that route throughout the week and how I run it, because I do run slant routes a little bit differently sometimes than, other receivers. I can run it in a multitude of ways, but I had to warn him about that way because it's atypical way to run the route. So we talked about it, but, he kind of had a guy in his face, and I don't think he really knew where I would be because we didn't really get a rep at it. We just talked about it. So I think moving forward, it'll be better.
Care to talk about Keon Coleman performance and how well this receiver room, went out there and played today?
Yeah, I mean that was the impressive thing about today. A lot of guys stepped up and made plays at the wide receiver position. Congratulations to, the young buck, Keon, for his first 100-yard game. He really put together a string of plays out there, and I still believe that the play that was called back was a touchdown. It looks like he got like 3 feet in, and he definitely had control of the ball. So, but it was a lot of impressive plays made out there by the receiver group.
Amari, what did you find in your play?
shoot, as soon as I got traded, right on the phone call, he was like, "Yeah, you playing this week." So that's when I found out. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love that. Amari Cooper saying, as soon as I got the phone call saying that I'd be sent to Buffalo, I was told, you are going to be playing this week. Well, it's better to just get thrown into the mix and, hey, try and see what you can do out there. Well, it finishes in a touchdown for Amari Cooper. Josh Allen now has 12 passing touchdowns on the season, 0 interceptions, Steve. This is a quarterback who led the NFL in turnovers last year. He is playing very clean through 7 weeks of the season. No other quarterback can say the same right now.
Yeah, and certainly their offense has looked slow starting, at least at times. They haven't scored a lot of points, although they've had now 4 out of their 7 games they've scored 30-plus points in. So they're getting back on track. Certainly this game was a slow start, but when we've all seen it, this offense, this team has a big engine. And when they play their best, nobody touches them. They're their own worst enemies. Last year, Josh, trying to do too much or whatever he does and playing the way Josh does, turned it over and hamstrung them a little bit. And if their defense doesn't keep up on their side of it and get some turnovers back and even that back out, it can really be problems. And we've seen at the end of games where Bills struggle to close out games. But make no mistake, when the Bills play like they can play on both sides of the ball, they are a almost impossible team to beat. They really have to help you beat them. Today, they helped the Tennessee Titans get out to a 10-0 lead, slow start, couldn't convert, and really a lot of it, I think, was their inability to execute. I don't know that the Tennessee Titans were doing things that were impossible for the Bills to beat, but they just weren't clicking. When the Bills click, they win. That's all there is to it. Josh Allen is the perfect example of that. When he does not throw in interceptions, they don't turn it over. They're +2 on the turnover margin today. They win by 24 in a game it looked like they were going to lose. They scored 34 unanswered when they turned it on. It's pretty impressive. It's really impressive.
This week's game against the Titans is presented by Oshai Children's Hospital. Oshai Children's Hospital helps get kids back to being kids. Josh Allen's 236 total touchdowns are the 3rd most offensive touchdowns in a player's first 100 career starts since 1970. It's been 100 starts to remember, and I know we're all really excited for 100 more by QB1. We want to thank you for tuning in to Bills Postgame Live. For Steve Tasker, I'm Maddy Glab. We'll see you all next week.